Hello, everyone, and welcome to PCG, Peace, Cooperation, and Growth, a Philadelphia change effort. My name is Lead Element, and I have a special message, going out to my brothers in the city of Philadelphia. But first, I'd like to caution all of you to please not take offense to anything said here. I mean no harm, and I only come to you in the spirit of actual brotherhood. I also would like to caution you not to allow others to contaminate or hijack this message. This message is meant for you, for your benefit in a dangerous world. Okay, so let's begin by actually stopping. Let's stop. Let's stop and take a real close look at all of the different influences that shape policy, that shape our consumption patterns, that shape our thought processes, that shape outcomes of interest. When we look at these things, when we look at these concentrations of influence, actual power influences, we can start with our democratic institutions statewide. Of course, we can look at the governor's office and decisions made in Harrisburg. More locally, we can look at the mayor's office, city council, and that which influences the mayor's office and city council, that which influences policy and how we think, how we perceive one another, how we perceive our communities, how we react to our communities, how we react to each other. And part of that influence may include labor unions, the education system, religion, the media, right? So there's a lot of influences at work. And so in addition to that, let's take another close look at the concentration of all of that power and energy, that intellectual and financial energy going on down in beautiful Center City. I actually love Center City very, very much. And let's look at how that concentration can sprinkle across our city. Let's look at the distribution of that energy across the city. And what we'll see is some communities that are thriving. Beautiful Philadelphia, thriving. And also what you can see is communities that are comparatively shabby, sometimes much more shabby. And even in shabby communities, there's commerce. There are people who are, they're pushing, they're working, hardworking people. But comparatively, we can see some discrepancies, right? And so we know that regardless of the two sides of the track, there are good people and questionable people wherever we go. So when I ask you to take a close look at the influences across our city and that which shapes our behavior and our attitudes and outcome, I'm coming to you from a perspective of a man. I'm simply a man. And so when I approach my black brothers, I'm accepting you as equal men as well. I'm assuming you are a man. Every time I meet a brother for the first time, I instantly am greeting him as a man. And I hope you do the same whenever you encounter your brother or any other human being. And so let's look at some of these issues from that perspective. What that also means is if we're looking at our communities and we're acknowledging some differences across our community, we have to understand that we are personally responsible for that, right? So long as you're alive and you're in the city, then you're responsible. You have some sort of influence on what's going on. You're involved one way or another. And so let's hold that. Let's embrace that. And when I ask brothers to come together over PCG, what is this PCG thing anyway? Well, I'm simply asking brothers to let's give ourselves a chance. Let's give ourselves a period of time to get really serious about the two Philadelphias. Let's get away from all the background noise, all the emotional people, all of the maldeveloped intellectuals, and let's be honest with ourselves off camera. Let's just really get face to face and let every man speak his mind about whether we can accept a gentleman's agreement to open our hands, show no weapons, and give everyone a chance to speak rationally about allowing ourselves an atmosphere of peace in which we can bring our human and material resources that we already have to bear on some kind of cooperation strategy that will lead from one small project to the next successful project, to the next, to the next, to the next, until we can prove momentum in sustaining growth, local growth, which we can later extend to other regions and to global opportunities. Okay, so amid that tale of two Philadelphias, one mostly thriving and the other somewhat shabby, there are two types of personalities within the Black community. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. And sure, there's other problems in other communities, but right now we're talking about ourselves, Black men. We have this problem where there's this one brother where if you approach him and you pose the question, hey, my brother, look at that empty building over there. That lot, look at that lot, the one over there. What do you suppose we can do with that property to convert it into something that's good for us and also good for the city? You know that brother will immediately turn towards doubt, point to all kinds of barriers, make all sorts of excuses before offering one positive thought. You know that guy. I don't understand why you have that guy in your life in the first place. Then there's the other brother. You approach the brother and you pose the same question, and you know he will immediately put on his thinking cap and plot a course to success. Let's determine what kind of man we are. What kind of a man are you? Are you that first brother, or are you the latter? Let's come together and let's make informed decisions. Let's discuss the major issues. Let's discuss the most important influence of all. The most important influence in our community, besides our democratic institutions, the most important one, besides the democratic institutions we mentioned, the most important is the family unit, right? There's something going on in our family unit that influences how we behave, how we react to what we see. There's a lot going on there, and much of that is not good for you. And much of the time, we don't even know it. Brothers, we have to sort this out. So when I ask us to come together, I'm not asking us to join up as black men to withdraw from the city. Quite the opposite. I'm asking us to join together so that we can engage with the other groups. You know, when we're standing side by side, when all the cultures are standing side by side, we're getting the side eye. We're getting the side eye because despite what's going on, good and bad in other communities, we're underperforming. I'm not discrediting the ones among us who are doing well and who are also even heroes in our city. I'm talking about the rest of us. Generally, we're underperforming, and that's not right. And you need to understand, we need to understand that when we underperform, we're harming more than just ourselves locally. You have brothers who are involved in international development, cooperation, and who understand policy and who shapes policy and all the shadow aspects of policy. There are people who shape their identity around chaos, thuggery, nonsense, because they thrive in it. They depend on you to be disoriented because it helps them and their identity. There are others outside of our culture, outside of our group, even outside of our nation, who depend on us being disoriented so that they can grab every potential sphere of influence that we have, including in Africa. Our own U.S. government has partnered with allies to help undermine us in Africa. These are documented facts, which we'll discuss face to face. So we're in trouble. We're being wiped out if you don't understand how the tale of two types of brothers are affecting, is impacting our communities. We have to come to terms with this, black men, and figure a way forward. Now, I don't know the answers because even though there's a process through which we could methodically measure what we all think about what to do about our communities and how to engage our government, our local government, which belongs to us too, in helping us attain our goals. There's a specific method that we can follow to determine what we want to do, how we can get together, and how we're going to be successful. And by the way, we can be very, very successful, but I don't know the answer because while the process is there, you have to provide the answer. And it's quite possible that a lot of us simply won't want to move forward. Isn't that a shame? But either way, we have to find out. Let's make an informed decision about who we really are. Let's find out. Why not? Why live in the smoke, in the confusion where others are making decisions and making a lot of noise to disorient us? And we're harming ourselves and are woefully unaware of how we're doing that. Okay? So we can't solve everything in one episode, but we'll certainly get together and we're going to meet again. We have a lot of work to do. It's time for us to move forward, black men. This is Lead Element. We'll certainly meet again.